Wireless networking is something we rely on every day, but have you ever stopped to wonder what's actually happening when your device connects to Wi-Fi? Well, buckle up, because we're going to dive deep into how wireless networks really work. First off, let's start with the basics. A wireless network allows devices like smartphones, laptops, or tablets to connect to the internet without any physical cables. Instead, these devices use radio waves to communicate with a Wi-Fi router, which acts like the central hub of your network. So, what exactly does the router do? It's connected to the internet through a wired connection, like a fiber optic or cable line. The router takes that internet signal and transforms it into radio waves, which are broadcast all around your space. Think of it like throwing a pebble into a pond. The ripples are the Wi-Fi signal, spreading out in all directions from the router. These radio waves are in a specific range of frequencies. Wi-Fi networks typically operate on two main frequency bands, 2.4 GHz and 5 GHz. Each of these bands has its own advantages and disadvantages. The 2.4 GHz band is good at covering a wider area and penetrating walls, but it's more prone to interference because many other devices, like microwaves and Bluetooth, use the same frequency. On the other hand, the 5 GHz band is faster and less crowded, but it doesn't travel as far or penetrate solid objects as well. Now, inside every wireless device, whether it's your phone or your laptop, is a wireless adapter. This adapter is constantly scanning the airwaves, looking for signals sent out by Wi-Fi routers. When it finds a signal, it begins a two-way communication with the router. Your device will send a request, say, to load a website, and the router will send the data back to your device over the same radio waves. This communication isn't as simple as just talking and listening, it's broken down into packets. Think of packets like tiny envelopes that hold pieces of data. When you load a web page, that data is divided into thousands of small packets, sent over the radio waves, and then reassembled by your device to display the page you want to see. Now, all this communication follows a set of rules called Wi-Fi standards, which are created by a group called the IEEE, the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers. The most common standard for Wi-Fi is IEEE 802.11, but it's gone through several versions over the years. The latest one you might have heard of is Wi-Fi 6, which brings faster speeds, better performance in crowded areas, and improved battery life for your devices. But wait, how does the Wi-Fi network handle multiple devices? Let's say you've got a phone, a laptop, a smart TV, and maybe even a smart fridge, all connected to the same router. It's kind of like hosting a meeting where everyone wants to talk at once. The router uses something called multiple access techniques, like OFDMA, orthogonal frequency division multiple access, to divide the available bandwidth into smaller, separate streams so that each device gets a slice of the connection. This prevents bottlenecks and keeps things running smoothly. And speaking of bandwidth, wireless networks operate on different channels. Channels are like lanes on a highway. If too many cars, aka devices, are trying to use the same lane, traffic slows down. Routers can switch between channels to avoid congestion and interference from other networks in your area. In fact, modern routers can automatically choose the least crowded channel for you, which is especially important in places with lots of overlapping Wi-Fi networks, like apartment buildings. One thing we need to talk about is range. Wi-Fi signals don't travel infinitely. They weaken over distance and can be blocked or reflected by walls, furniture, and even people. That's why you might notice weaker signals in certain parts of your house. To fix this, many people use Wi-Fi extenders or mesh networks. Mesh networks are particularly cool. They use multiple devices placed around your home to create a seamless web of coverage, eliminating dead zones and ensuring a strong signal everywhere. Now, let's get into the security side. Wireless networks use encryption to keep your data safe from hackers and unauthorized users. The most common encryption standard is called WPA2, though WPA3 is becoming more widespread because it offers even stronger protection. Encryption works by scrambling your data into a code that can only be deciphered by the router and your device, so even if someone intercepts the signal, they can't make sense of it. But how does the router know which devices are allowed to connect? That's where the SSID comes in, the Service Set Identifier, also known as the network name. When you connect to Wi-Fi, your device sends a request to join the network. If the SSID and password match, the router will grant access. This way, only authorized devices can use the network. One more thing to note, Wi-Fi isn't the only type of wireless network. There are other technologies, like Bluetooth, which is used for shorter range communication between devices, and cellular networks like 4G and 5G, which use a different kind of radio signal to connect your phone to the internet no matter where you are. So, in summary, your router takes a wired internet connection, turns it into radio waves, and your devices use their wireless adapters to receive those signals. They talk back and forth using packets of data, and all of this happens according to a set of rules called Wi-Fi standards, like 802.11. It's an amazing process that happens so quickly and invisibly, we don't even think about it, until the Wi-Fi goes down. And that's a deep dive into how wireless networks work. From frequencies and channels to encryption and standards, it's all part of keeping us connected, no cables required.